Flower Remedies for Venus and Moon with Rahu-Ketu aspects in the 12th house. The 12th house is associated with subconscious processes, sleep, dreams, hidden matters, and release, physical, emotional, and spiritual. It governs the feet, the lymphatic system, the subconscious brain, including the pineal gland, hypothalamus, amygdala, hippocampus, and the fluidic release from the body. When Venus or the Moon is placed in the 12th house, along with aspects from Rahu or Ketu, it creates emotional, mental, and spiritual challenges, especially related to subconscious fears, emotional detachment, and sleep disorders. Below is a detailed analysis of Bach Flower Remedies to support individuals facing these challenges. 12th house overview. Venus governs sensuality, love, and emotional relationships. In the 12th house, Venus affects emotional release, hidden desires, and issues related to subconscious emotional expressions and intimate connections. Moon governs emotions, the mind, and intuition. In the 12th house, the Moon influences deep emotional processes, sleep patterns, subconscious fears, and emotional restfulness. Rahu's influence amplifies desires, obsessions, and emotional confusion. Rahu's influence in the 12th house can lead to sleep disturbances, anxiety about hidden fears, or emotional restlessness. Ketu's influence brings emotional detachment, spiritual withdrawal, and subconscious isolation. Ketu can cause disconnection from emotions, subconscious fear of loss, and difficulty processing hidden emotional matters. Suggested Bach Flower Remedies. Based on the characteristics of Venus, the Moon, and the potential emotional imbalances caused by Rahu or Ketu in the 12th house, the following Bach Flower Remedies can help balance emotional and subconscious challenges related to this placement. If Venus is influenced by Rahu in the 12th house, chicory, for possessiveness in emotional and intimate relationships. Rahu's influence can amplify Venusian desires, leading to emotional manipulation or the need to control hidden aspects of relationships. Cherry plum, for fear of losing control of emotions, especially in intimate or hidden matters. Rahu may cause intense emotional outbursts or anxiety related to hidden fears in relationships. Agrimony, for hiding inner emotional turmoil behind a calm exterior. Rahu's influence can create subconscious tension that isn't readily expressed but causes inner distress. Holly, to address jealousy or possessiveness in relationships. Rahu's intensity can cause insecurity and fear of betrayal, leading to emotional imbalance in hidden emotional areas. If Venus is influenced by Ketu in the 12th house, water violet, for emotional detachment and withdrawal from intimate relationships. Ketu's influence on Venus can create emotional isolation, making it difficult to connect on a deeper emotional level. Mustard, for deep unexplained sadness or detachment from emotional expression, which Ketu can bring through its influence on Venus in the 12th house. Pine, for feelings of guilt or inadequacy in emotional or intimate relationships. Ketu's detachment can lead to self-criticism and feelings of emotional failure. Crab apple, for issues with self-image or feelings of impurity related to emotional or intimate expressions. This remedy helps restore self-acceptance and emotional clarity. If Moon is influenced by Rahu in the 12th house, Mimulus, for specific fears and anxieties related to hidden emotions, sleep disturbances, or subconscious fears. Rahu can intensify emotional confusion, causing fear of emotional exposure. White chestnut, for obsessive or repetitive thoughts, particularly about hidden emotions or unresolved subconscious fears. Rahu's influence can lead to overthinking and emotional restlessness. Aspen, for vague, unexplainable fears or anxieties, especially related to emotional vulnerabilities and subconscious fears. Rahu heightens the sensitivity of the Moon, leading to irrational fears. Clematis, for emotional escapism or daydreaming, particularly when Rahu's influence causes detachment from reality. This remedy helps ground emotions and address escapism through fantasies or emotional withdrawal. If the Moon is influenced by Ketu in the 12th house, wild rose, for emotional resignation, apathy, or disconnection from emotional processes. Ketu can cause a lack of emotional engagement, particularly with deeper emotional or subconscious matters. Star of Bethlehem, for emotional trauma or grief related to loss or unresolved emotional pain in the subconscious. Ketu's influence in the 12th house may bring up unresolved emotional wounds. Gentian for discouragement or pessimism, especially when Ketu's detachment causes feelings of hopelessness or withdrawal from emotional and subconscious work. Olive for emotional exhaustion, particularly when Ketu's influence drains the emotional and mental energy needed for rest and recovery. This remedy helps restore vitality and emotional well-being. General remedies for 12th house imbalances, sleep, subconscious processing, and emotional release. Heather for emotional neediness or overdependence on others, especially when Venus or Moon in the 12th house causes emotional confusion or a need for validation in intimate matters. Walnut for protection from external influences, especially during emotional transitions or deep emotional work. This remedy helps maintain emotional stability during periods of transformation. Hornbeam for mental and emotional fatigue, particularly when overwhelmed by subconscious fears, emotional patterns, or sleep disturbances. Summary of remedies for Rahu's influence: for emotional intensity, obsession and fear, chicory, cherry plum, mimulus, white chestnut. Summary of remedies for Ketu's influence: for emotional detachment, numbness and resignation, water violet, mustard, wild rose, star of Bethlehem. Remedies for Venus Moon in the 12th house: for emotional sensitivity, subconscious fears and hidden emotional patterns, pine, crabapple, gentian, olive. Conclusion: when Venus or the Moon is placed in the 12th house and influenced by Rahu or Ketu, individuals may experience emotional imbalances, subconscious fears, and difficulties with sleep and emotional release. Bach Flower Remedies such as chicory for possessiveness, mimulus for fears, water violet for emotional detachment, and star of Bethlehem for trauma can help restore emotional stability and promote healing of subconscious wounds. These remedies provide support for navigating Rahu's intensity and Ketu's detachment, fostering emotional balance and spiritual well-being. Flower remedies for Jupiter and Mercury with Rahu-Ketu aspects in the 12th house. The 12th house governs the subconscious mind, sleep, dreams, hidden matters, and spiritual release. It influences emotional and mental health, particularly related to subconscious fears, repressed feelings, spiritual aspirations, and retreat. When Jupiter or Mercury is positioned in the 12th house and influenced by Rahu or Ketu, it can lead to imbalances in mental clarity, spiritual disorientation, anxiety, or escapism. Below is a detailed analysis of how Bach Flower Remedies can support individuals experiencing these planetary influences. 12th house overview. Jupiter represents wisdom, expansion, spiritual growth, and the desire for knowledge. In the 12th house, Jupiter influences dreams, subconscious processes, and spiritual exploration. Mercury governs communication, intellect, nervous system, and rational thought. In the 12th house, Mercury affects subconscious communication, mental clarity, and how one processes subconscious thoughts and dreams. Rahu's influence amplifies desires and creates obsession or confusion. Rahu's presence in the 12th house can lead to illusions, hidden fears, obsessive spiritual pursuits, or sleep disturbances. Ketu's influence causes emotional detachment, spiritual disorientation, and confusion. Ketu's presence in the 12th house can lead to escapism, repressed emotions, or dissociation from reality. Chash suggested Bach Flower Remedies. Based on the planetary characteristics of Jupiter and Mercury and the potential emotional and spiritual imbalances caused by Rahu or Ketu in the 12th house, the following Bach Flower Remedies can help balance the mental and emotional challenges associated with this placement. If Jupiter is influenced by Rahu in the 12th house, agrimony, for those who hide inner emotional turmoil behind a happy facade. Rahu's influence on Jupiter can create internal stress or anxiety, particularly in spiritual or subconscious matters. Cherry plum, for fear of losing control of emotions or mental clarity. Rahu's influence can intensify Jupiter's desires, leading to fear of emotional collapse or spiritual confusion. Heather, for people who feel a need for attention or validation in their spiritual practices. Rahu amplifies Jupiter's expansive qualities, which can manifest as a need for recognition or approval in spiritual pursuits. White chestnut, for obsessive thoughts, particularly related to hidden fears or spiritual concerns. Rahu can cause the mind to focus excessively on spiritual growth or subconscious fears. If Jupiter is influenced by Ketu in the 12th house for emotional withdrawal or isolation from spiritual or subconscious processes, Ketu's influence on Jupiter can cause detachment from spiritual growth or emotional insight. Mustard, for unexplained sadness or melancholy related to spiritual disillusionment. Ketu's detachment can dampen Jupiter's natural optimism, leading to spiritual confusion. Pine, for feelings of guilt or inadequacy related to spiritual practices or subconscious exploration. Ketu's influence can lead to feelings of failure in achieving spiritual insight. Olive, for emotional and mental exhaustion, particularly when Ketu drains Jupiter's vitality, leading to burnout from spiritual or subconscious work. If Mercury is influenced by Rahu in the 12th house, Mimulus, for specific fears related to subconscious fears, spiritual practices or sleep disturbances. Rahu's influence on Mercury can heighten fears around hidden matters or spiritual exploration. White chestnut, for obsessive thoughts, particularly around spiritual or mental confusion. Rahu's influence on Mercury in the 12th house can cause an overactive mind, leading to mental agitation. Aspen, for vague, unexplainable fears or anxieties, especially related to subconscious or spiritual issues. Rahu can amplify hidden fears or anxieties that disrupt peace of mind. Clematis, for detachment from reality, especially when Rahu's influence causes Mercury to escape into fantasies or detachment from rational thought. If Mercury is influenced by Ketu in the 12th house, wild rose, for apathy or emotional resignation related to spiritual practices or subconscious exploration. Ketu's influence may cause a lack of interest or motivation in mental or spiritual activities. Star of Bethlehem, for unresolved trauma related to subconscious fears, spiritual disillusionment or hidden emotional pain. Ketu's influence may bring old wounds to the surface. Gentian, for discouragement or pessimism in dealing with mental clarity, communication or spiritual growth. Ketu's influence can cause a loss of mental clarity or spiritual direction. Olive, for mental and emotional exhaustion, particularly when Ketu drains Mercury's mental energy and leads to burnout in dealing with subconscious or hidden matters. General remedies for 12th house imbalances: sleep, subconscious mind and spiritual exploration. Walnut, for protection from external influences or pressures related to spiritual or subconscious transitions. This remedy helps manage emotional or spiritual changes. Hornbeam, for mental and emotional fatigue, particularly when overwhelmed by the challenges of spiritual exploration or processing subconscious fears. Summary of remedies for Rahu's influence: for mental obsession, fear, and overactivity, agrimony, cherry plum, mimulus, white chestnut. Summary of remedies for Ketu's influence: for emotional detachment, spiritual numbness and resignation, water violet, mustard, wild rose, star of Bethlehem. Remedies for Jupiter-Mercury in the 12th house: for balancing spiritual exploration, subconscious fears, and emotional release. Heather, pine, olive, gentian. Conclusion: when Jupiter or Mercury is placed in the 12th house and influenced by Rahu or Ketu, individuals may experience emotional intensity, spiritual confusion, subconscious fears or detachment. Bach Flower Remedies such as agrimony for hidden stress, mimulus for specific fears, water violet for emotional withdrawal, and star of Bethlehem for trauma can help restore emotional and spiritual balance, support mental clarity, and promote restful sleep. These remedies assist in managing the amplifying effects of Rahu and the detachment caused by Ketu, fostering emotional and spiritual well-being.